stand up, Cover 3 Deep Raiders podcast here with all you guys out here. Listen, the season has not gone the way we hoped it would go, but it's one winning season in 18 years is kind of, unfortunately, you get used to it a little bit. Unfortunately. I want to shout out all the folks listening to us in Springfield, Massachusetts, Las Vegas, Nevada, Brooklyn, New York, Montgomery, Alabama, Clichy, France, Stock, Newington, England, Chicago, Illinois, West Des Moines, Iowa, Tallahassee, Florida, and Sydney, Australia. Thank you for listening to the Cover 3 Deep Raiders podcast. Also, that text line, 858-429-9465. Our guest is Marcus Johnson. He, of course, is part of that great YouTube channel, Tape Don't Lie, and a contributor to the Raiders Wire. Marcus, how you doing?
Good, man. How about yourself, bro?
Good. How was Christmas? Favorite gift?
Yeah, favorite gift. It was a bottle of whiskey. Actually, it was
okay.
I forgot what I got. Some Basil Hayden, which is one of my favorite whiskeys, and then I got a new whiskey. I can't remember the name of it, but it had one I haven't tried before. But yeah, I'm a whiskey guy, so I try like a lot of different, sometimes expensive whiskeys and stuff like that. So a little bit of whiskey.
So if you ever get a chance to have some Jamaican Irish mosh,
okay,
that is like that's our version of eggnog, and it's incredible. Okay. And you need like this much, and then you're good for the day.
Okay, I'm gonna try that.
Good for the day. And I definitely had some after I saw David Arnett and Isaiah Johnson kind of try to play cover 2 in that moment there. I heard you on the radio talking about, the Raiders running game, and I get a lot of flack for it. People fill my DMs with hateful stuff sometimes, but it's because I wasn't a fan of the Josh Jacobs pick. I wanted all defense in that first round. I want to, give me sweat. Give me somebody. I want as much defense as humanly possible. If you're gonna let go of, if you're gonna get rid of Mac, I want, you have to do rush the passer by committee. I want as many bodies as humanly possible. Yeah. With that being said, he looked like more of a all pro last year than this year. What's the issue with Josh Jacobs this season? Is it just injuries?
I think it's a lot of things. I mean, it's injuries too. He didn't have the burst that he usually has this year. He had it at the beginning of the year, but he doesn't have it right now. I mean, you see it sometimes. It's like when he catches the ball, right? You kind of see the burst and the movements that you usually see from him running the ball. But this year, when he's running the football, he's a little more tentative to hit holes and stuff like that. I don't know if he doesn't believe that he can get there, or I don't know exactly what's going on in his head, but he's missing more holes than he usually would. So which is kind of concerning. And one example that I talked about on my Raider film channel is, when Marcus Mariota came in and they started doing zone read stuff, usually a running back goes off. I mean, Gus Edwards has big gains with Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? So I was thinking okay, once Marcus Mariota came in, that Jacobs was just going to go off, and it was kind of the same thing. And then he missed some big holes too, that when Mariota gave him the football, that if he hit the right hole, that who knows how far he was running, right? So that's when I really got concerned about the run game, is when Mariota came in and they still couldn't run the football. It was only he could run the football off the zone read. I was like, oh, okay, we got a bigger problem than John Gruden being predictable. It's more about the line and Jacobs kind of being more tentative. So when you take a running back in the first round, which you are correct, I mean, you're basically asking for 5 years of greatness. Yeah. I mean, the Rams got Todd Gurley, right? Todd Gurley, he gave him greatness for a long time. I mean, you can say what you want about his knees now or whatever, that his knee gave out, but he gave them 4 years of greatness, 4 or 5 years of greatness, that he helped him get to the Super Bowl and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like he helped him become
And
one
the
of the best
Giants are still waiting for that from Saquon.
you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And then you had the misses, like the Chargers are waiting that from Melvin Gordon. Never got it. Now he's in the Broncos, and he's still a good back, but he's just not a first round back that you want to take that high. And then you could even say the same for Zeke. I mean, the Cowboys got the greatness out of Zeke. They had a bunch of playoff runs.
And the back they have now, he looks more fluid in that system than he looks good. I was Pollard, right? He looks good. He looks good in that system. So it's crazy. So when Carr goes under center, they run the ball 71% of the time.
Yes.
That's a very easy tendency if you are a defensive coordinator, right?
And if you noticed these past couple weeks, it might be below it now because this past couple weeks they've been going shotgun runs a lot.
Yeah,
have you noticed that?
Yes, I had noticed that.
Which is a good adjustment. So obviously, John saw that on tailgate. They're crashing on us every time we go into center. And the other thing about it is just not as under center. It's 22 personnel. So just for people, everybody's listening. 22s, 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, right? Every time there were two running backs and 2 tight ends, and they're under center, they're running the football. It's like, so when it's week 14, I mean, like every NFL team knows that. So
and unfortunately, I mean, going into the season, I thought if they went 22 personnel, I would see Waller and one of my favorite Raiders, Foster Moreau. He's been such a good red zone target last year. Did he just did he get coffee for Gruden and it wasn't the right temperature? Like what is really like? I'm trying to make sense of why Foster Moreau, especially. I mean, and then when you give him like little clips of it, like the same pass against the Colts, I was like, this is my dog right here. Why is he not being featured more? Is this just like a blinding relationship he has with Mark Witten, and is it Jason Witten, I should say?
Yeah.
It's like what is the issue there? I don't understand.
Yeah, I think what a lot of us, we kind of got caught up in the 5 first-round picks that we were going to have this young team, and I think Gruden just loves veterans, just hates young players.
Yeah,
and I think that's a lot of it. I mean, I think there's a lot to do with Ruggs too. I mean, I think the past couple press conferences, he said very nice things about the rookies, and he's very hard on young players. And I don't know, he saw Witten and he thought, I'm going to give me a veteran that can teach some leadership and do whatever all those other things that that he wants to do. And that's what he said today in the press conference, that Foster Moreau learned so much from him or something, whatever. He's gonna be
learned. I mean, he was in there. He had six touchdowns. I mean, I knew he was a player last year when he caught that touchdown pass in the corner end zone and against the Colts. I was like, whoa. I didn't know he had that in the bag. That was a pretty athletic catch in the corner. Again, I mean, he had 2 people dripped all over him. So I don't know. That was nuts. So your name is Marcus Johnson, but now I'm gonna change it to Mark Davis. So you have the conversation, end of the year conversation, exit interview, whatever you want to call it, and you say to John Gruden, hey, there's a guy in our division who had Doug Peterson, who had Matt Nagy, who has Eric Bieniemy right next to him, helping him to be the best play caller he possibly can be. Please explain to me why you don't need to have that person.
Because I'm John Gruden.
That would be his answer, unfortunately. But I mean, I think it would be. I mean, in my head, it's like, why would you not? I mean, I don't understand why. Like,
he's not going to do it, man.
It's not happening, right? No matter what.
I tweeted out the other day that it was interesting to me that the Packers are the best red zone team in football.
Yes,
and they have a red zone coordinator.
Yes, I did hear that in the game.
Like that type of ego that you have to let go to be like, because Matt LaFleur, he's an offensive coach. Offensive coordinator, came up, quarterback coach. The amount of I think that's different. That's leadership too. Like, part of leadership too is giving other people tasks. Like, hey, I got a smart guy that works with me. I can divvy out some of my tasks instead of me calling all the red zone plays. this guy, he could call for some of the red zone plays because he might have some diverse looks or maybe see things in the red zone that I might not see. You know, and I mean that's kind of when because you're the head coach. I mean, you are the leader of the football team. It's like being like if you're at a job, like it's like being a director of the department, right? You're the director of the coaches. So if you have a coach that does something really well, and he might see something that you might not see, I think you need to take that feedback. But I don't know how much, you know, he was, you know, he even talked about how he was wearing down on Paul Gunther. So you don't know how he is with those coaches. And you know, Hard Knocks, which I always talk about, which how closed off they were with Hard Knocks. Like what were they hiding from us? Like, you know, like I think the whole car conversation could have been closed off with Hard Knocks. We saw their quarterback room conversations and how they interacted or how they talked to each other. That would have probably closed off a lot of talks about that, of him getting traded every single off season. You know, the way, you know, they kind of control that environment. I don't know. His ego is high. It is.
That's high. Yeah.
It's
It's I mean, it's not resulting in wins. So I'm not sure what what it says. I got so much to talk to you about, but like,
okay.
I'm gonna call them. I'm gonna jump ahead and talk about the decision. Like this ain't the LeBron thing going to Miami, but the decision to go, you know, 3 points up to opposed to possibly 7 or 5 points. And a minute and 5 seconds left. I mean, I'm just saying, somebody giving you a touchdown. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm a Madden head. Somebody give me a touchdown, I'm taking it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm taking it. So, especially when you look at the opponent, and Sanders is a big time kicker. Like, it just takes one pass interference penalty, and he can nail it. And no elements in Vegas. What are your thoughts about the decision that John Gruden made at the end of the game?
See, it's interesting about the decision is, you know, the Gruden and them, you know, they brought in a lot of analytical people into this to the team. And I know a lot of Gruden, he gets the whole 98 stuff and whatever. I don't like analytics, but they added some people to that. They added a data scientist and stuff over the off season. And I think that had a lot to play into it, because if you go by the analytics and you run the clock down to 19 seconds, you got a 99% chance to win the game, and the win probability and all that other stuff, right? That played into it. And I think they have an analytical department, and you know, he's so old school talking in his press conferences. Nobody realized that, because I mean, you get on about going on for some fourth downs, but he has gone for it on a lot more fourth downs than he usually has.
Yes, he has been. He has been.
To be fair, right? And I think they have an analytical department that's there, right? So the analytics, somebody's in his ear telling him, hey, if you run this clock out, we got a 99% chance to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
So they run the clock out, but the 1% happens. But to my perspective of this, right, is that if you score and you go for 2, they have to go for 2 to win.
Yes. And score touchdown and then go for 2. Yeah. Yes. So it's multiple things that have to happen, opposed to just one thing that has to happen where they get in the field goal range, and you're not even up 3 to 4, go to overtime. It's you lose the game on it. So yeah, I know. And it's the reason why I'm a San Francisco Giants fan. It's the reason why Bruce Bochy's not coaching the team anymore, because he got rid of. He said, analytics. I won 3 titles. Get out of here. So he left. So that's how it is. But yeah, it's crazy.
But you know, it's because you also got a really young defense too. I mean, you got a young team out there. I mean, something could have happened, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that could have happened, and you could have just scored, and you know, it would have been more safe. I mean, because even if they get that big bomb on the first play, right? They didn't got no timeouts. They got to run down. They got to spike the football, right? Yeah. And then they got to set up, and they still got another 30, 40 yards to go.
Yeah, exactly. So, and to me, like, you know, even in that moment at the end of the game, I'm saying to myself, you know what? Just drop the safeties, back, and then just play and run with the receivers. Because even if you get a pass interference or a holding penalty, you know it doesn't come back on the clock? The time. Like, you mean, you get a 15-yard penalty. Okay, so what? The ball's at the 40-yard line, and then guess what happens? Like, those 7 seconds that came off the clock, now instead of 19 seconds, it's 12 seconds. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's crazy. It is what it is. One thing about that that Green Bay game that you talked about was the fact that Mark Vrabel and Matt LaFleur, when they hooked up to work together, they didn't even know each other, which I thought was absolutely that makes me like Vrabel even more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and like I respect what happened in Tennessee when he was offensive coordinator even more. As far as the defensive coordinator situation, like, are we looking at just Joe Barry or Raheem Morris, like, and like Rod Marinelli, like people who want Wade Phillips and other people like that? It's just like you're wasting your time.
I think so a little bit.
Gus Bradley.
I don't see. I don't see.
Who couldn't even
see him going. He's super with the nepotism, and football is one thing that I don't like about the NFL. And I went to the scouting academy, and I learned about being a scout, and I went to the Senior Bowl a couple of times to go to scouting. It's really like super nepotism. I mean, it is like, what school did you go to? Oh, you went to this school, so I like you now. I don't even want to see how you evaluate football. You went to ASU with me, so we're both alumni. We're both cool. And they do things like that, and John Gruden's the same way. I don't know if he's gonna just interview random guys, because I've been throwing out names like Bill Belichick's son is helping him make play calls. So what's going on in his mind that maybe he can come over and. We have a press man team. They love doing press man. We got a whole bunch of corners that are great in press man, and we got them playing zone. So, maybe we get somebody over
which
here.
Makes no sense. Kind of like LaMarcus Joyner playing slot corner when he was a Pro Bowl safety. I don't get it. I don't get it. Get it. So
yeah, it's crazy, bro.
So like with the guy who I want is Wade.
Okay.
So just talk Wade a little bit, like real quick. So like he has been able to go to places year one and makes a dramatic turn.
Yeah.
Like he has to at least interview Wade, right? Or, I mean, yeah. I mean, like he can't get away with just like not interviewing Wade Phillips at all. Even Mark Davis will have to come in and say, "Hey, wait a minute. We have to at least hear what this guy has to say, because that side of the ball is not your expertise, John."
Yeah. And what he did with Monte Kiffin, he just left Monte Kiffin alone. So I don't know if he brought in somebody Wade, if he just leaves him alone and maybe he respects him that much. Yeah. That might be the thing. My thing with Wade, though, always is that Wade always had an elite player. And I don't know if we have that elite player. And I think if you bring in Wade, we have to draft an edge rusher. Like we have to to draft an edge rusher. You have to get him like an elite talent. Like
how done is Von Miller in your mind, because he's a free agent?
That is a good call. I like that. I don't.
And they play obviously Gruden loves veterans. So that would be, he's definitely veteran enough in the division. I think that would be the move that I would get a little bit more excited for. So like, so it should just see that. The one that scares me the most is the Joe Barry one, because isn't he related to Marinelli? Do you have to keep Marinelli if you're the DC next year?
I mean, that's what I wondered. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things, because he might just keep Marinelli.
That's what I'm terrified of. Everybody's terrified of that. Like,
but then if you keep Marinelli, you have to draft a linebacker that can play coverage and get deep on his Tampa too. Because I mean, as soon as Ryan Fitzpatrick came in, he went just right at Raekwon McMillan, because Raekwon McMillan can't play Tampa 2 linebacker. So he goes right at him. So if we keep Rod, that you have to get. Can Kawakowski do that? Can he run Tampa 2 like that and run down the field? I don't know. So you're gonna have to go get some linebacker that runs a 4.4, 4.5 that can run down the middle of the field with those guys. So whoever they pick is gonna affect who they draft. But I'd rather them, if I had to pick between like Rod Marinelli and those guys, I would go Wade. We got to get a Wade or elite talent, or I don't know. does he unlock Max Crosby? Because I think Max Crosby can stand up. He was like a 4.6.
Yes, that's the one. You took the words right out of my mouth on that one. I definitely could see him being stand up. A stand up edge on the 3-4.
Yeah.
And if he has to drop a little bit once in a while, then fine. Like, you see that. I mean, I think, I look at Pierre Paul has a bunch of picks this year from dropping in zones coverage this year. So, and also with some sacks. So that would be nice as well. Is Ruggs as terrible as Raider Twitter makes him out to be?
Oh, of course not.
Of course not. But what has been the main, my thing is this, there are some receivers who go to camps where defensive linemen go so they can learn the hand fighting at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
How does he get off is he progressing? The biggest thing when you see it watch it on film, is he progressing, getting off the line?
I think he's progressing with his releases. I think his release at the beginning of the year was not very good, but his release by the time we got to like week 13 and week 14, they were a lot better. Like he had on the opening play, against the New York Jets. I mean, Derek Carr went to Aguilar's side, but Ruggs, he won on his side. He burned that guy.
Yeah,
and he had a great release, and but Derek Carr, he opened up to Aguilar's side and he threw it to Aguilar. So, but he is getting better, right? He's getting better. It's just sometimes when he gets the opportunity, he's not making a play. So John Gruden, he's thinking, oh, okay. Because a lot of people say Derek Carr threw it too high to him against the Jets game, and it bounced off his hand. But John Gruden was like, I thought he should have caught that, and
I thought he should have caught the one against the Dolphins. I thought that one was pretty. That was tight. That was a tight throw. That window was tight, but that ball was kind of right there.
If you're the number 12 pick in the draft, you gotta catch that ball, right? If it was like a 5th round pick and that happened, I would be like, oh, okay. But if you're the first pick in the draft, like you got to catch footballs like that. And he had one like that against the Falcons that bounced off his hands too.
Yeah.
That we need. But he's had some times where he's caught those balls too.
Dude, the back shoulder like 4th and 3 against the Falcons. That's a great catch.
Yeah.
He does have flashes. And he's not Darius Hayward-Bay. He's definitely a guy who has hands, and I think if he just gets a route running down and the releases down, he'll be good as well.
Exactly.
Aguilar, is he going to price himself out of? According to some people, that the Raiders are already working on a deal with him to try to bring him back. But you want him to come back, right?
100%.
Yeah,
he is balling. He's so good. And the thing is with him, I watched him over the summer, and he's always going to get open. And I think that's a big thing. Derek Carr needs somebody that can get open. That's why I trust him so much, because he gets open, man. And against anybody too. He was getting open against Byron Jones, and that's one of the best corners in the league, and Xavier Howard. He was doing them in that last game. So, and that's why Carr knows he's going to be at his spot. He's going to have the timing. He's going to understand it. He's smart. He's going to pick it up. He's going to be right where he needs to be. When he runs deep routes, I think the difference between Ruggs being off with Carr and Aguilar being on the same spot is that when Aguilar runs a route on a deep ball, if he has to come inside to win, he's going to fight his way back to where he knows Derek Carr is going to throw the ball. Mm-hmm. Like, he understands where Derek Carr wants to throw the football, while Ruggs is kind of figuring that out on the fly. But Aguilar's picked it up already. Like Aguilar, the Chargers game, this first big touchdown against Chargers game is a perfect example where he stemmed inside, which he probably should stem outside in a go route, but he had to stem inside to beat Casey Hayward. But once he beat Casey Hayward, he went back to where Derek Carr was throwing the football.
The outside. Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, that over. He looked like Willie Mays on that one. That was a good. That was a great catch.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, you're right.
It's things like that. That's why he's getting more targets now, because he is where he's supposed to be. And I know fans don't like hearing that, especially when people who want Ruggs to get the football. But when you are in an offense with John Gruden, you're gonna get the football. So.
Tyrell Williams, would you? Obviously, the Raiders are in a position where they could say they're in a position of power. He hasn't been available, and they can say, "Hey, listen, we want you to come back, but at a reduced rate with some incentives. would you be against bringing him back, or you just say, hey, I'm turning it over to Ruggs and Edwards next year?
I think they got to just turn it over to Ruggs and Edwards.
Okay.
I think the Tyrell Williams experiment kind of it went to bed last year. I think because he just can't win outside, and that was a concern I had when he got picked up. Is that he can't win outside, and he was more of a slack guy that needed a free release.
Yeah.
And he can't win outside, so it's not really something that they should think about bringing back. Just because they have the young guys. I mean, I don't think they need to bring in another wide receiver or bring in more wide receivers or anything like that. But I mean, if they lose Aguilar, they do. I think they got to make sure that they have some kind of veteran that's over here that can play. But I don't think they're going to lose Aguilar. I think they're going to re-sign him.
Yeah. And there are a lot of free agent wide receivers out there this year. But I mean, you want to keep. I think the whole thing with Aguilar and Carr was a really positive thing for the Raiders. Yeah. Colton Miller he's kind of struggled a little bit last couple of weeks, but he's definitely going to be a guy who's going to be here for a long time. Is he more of does he show up better in pass protection than he does in the run game?
Oh, 100%. But he had a bad game in pass protection this last week. I mean, a lot of those third downs people were getting mad at were kind of blown up by him. Two in a row
because Bosa got him in the Charger game.
Oh,
too.
Yeah. So I mean, see, the thing about Colton Miller is a good tackle at this point. So he started off as a below average tackle his rookie year. He came average last year. Now he's a good tackle. So I mean, will he be a great tackle next year, or has he already hit his mark where he's going to be? So he's going to be a good tackle. He's not the best run blocking tackle, but he's a good, steady, good pass protection left tackle with some athleticism. And I think maybe they get some more outside zone with him and don't have him trying to do as much power stuff because he's not really the strongest guy in the world. He's not a big, strong guy. He's not going to be. That's why sometimes when people get into him, they can bull rush him because he's not the strongest guy in the world, and he needs to be moved and get in space a little bit to me in the run game a little bit more. But he's a good left tackle. I mean, they're definitely. I don't know what they're going to do to pay him though. That's going to be the big thing that we have coming up. Or are they going to give him a top tackle money? Is he going to get Eric Fisher? Like, what is he getting? Because I think he's played himself into a new contract. I think the Raiders, question. You just don't give up good tackles like that. You just even you draft a tackle and he's good. I mean, you did all right. I mean, because tackles are hard to come by. Good tackles are hard to come by, and I think Colton Miller has definitely showed that. So
I listened to some other Raider podcasts. They're talking about the possibility of the Raiders drafting a tackle in the first round because the other tackle, Trent Williams, Trent Brown. I mean, he's a little bit of an enigma when he plays. He's a boss, man. Like, I mean, no question about it. He can flat out play. He's very difficult to get by. He's a talented player. Do you feel like, I mean, he's not going to change his salary, no question about it. I know I know a trend like that, though. We know that, but do you think they're almost forced to bring him back and maybe move on from a Gabe Jackson? Like, what do the Raiders do with that offensive line there?
So see, I think they should bring back Trent Brown because I think when he's played really well.
Yeah.
Even this year, I mean, this year he's played really well. It's not really. We haven't really mentioned his name since he's been playing. I mean, he's still he's
phenomenal.
He has this weird lazy pass that he does. I don't know how he gets away with it, but he gets away with it. But he does it all the time, so that's the problem. So like, I think if they see a tackle that is good, like there's some good tackle. This is a good tackle class. This is another good tackle class.
I thought so.
And it's I was watching this guy named Robert Jones from Middle Tennessee State the other day. And I was like, man, this guy has some talent that they could build on. That's raw. He's 6'5", 335. If they can get somebody like him in the second round that is maybe is a raw, big tackle prospect, and he could sit behind Trent Brown. And then if Trent Brown goes down, we actually have a good, talented guy that can come in and make some plays. It's kind of built just like Trent Brown. I mean, he's 340 pounds, and he's super athletic. Like I was watching this guy, I was trying not to give him a first round grade the other day because I was like, well, he went to Middle Tennessee State. I need to chill.
Yeah,
but it's
a second round grade for him, or you think a first round grade for him?
I think it's second round. I mean, but he's going to the Senior Bowl.
Oh, everybody's gonna see him.
Right, and then we'll find out how good he actually is, right, going against those guys. But but there's a lot of tackles. I mean, they went to North Dakota. They went to the North Dakota State game, and I know a lot of people think they went to go watch Trey Lance, but North Dakota State has a big right tackle too that is like really, really good. That's getting a lot of first round grades out there. So I think they're looking at tackle themselves. And I don't know if you ever heard, Josina Anderson. She tweeted out
yes.
the Tristan Wirfs things, right? You heard that?
Yeah. So,
that was interesting. I was that was the most interesting thing. So I think that's in the back of their mind a little bit. I think maybe they kind of see what's going on with Trent, and I think they might go tackle.
Yeah,
which I think will piss everybody off if they win tackle.
I mean, if they do a good job in free agency with the defense, I don't think people wouldn't be as mad. But still, I mean, you can't lie. You do have to replace him.
Yeah, it's true.
Talking about a little college football, I know you've been around Senior Bowl and you watch college games and watch college tape like I do.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about why there has not been a influx of African American head coaches in college football. What do you feel like that is? Why do you think that goes on?
I mean, I think it's the same thing as it is for any black person anywhere. They want you to be either you're the best thing ever, or we fire you. So I mean, we're black people in those type of African American coaches in those type of situations aren't allowed to be mediocre. They can't go 8-4 for 4 years in a row.
No,
they went 8-4 for 4 years in a row.
There's guys are losing. Guys with losing records who get extensions.
Yeah, like look at Tom Herman and like Charlie Strong. Like Tom Herman was supposed to be like coming.
Yes, he was. You're right. He was. Texas supposed to be. He's supposed to be. But the Horn's supposed to come back, right? It didn't happen, right? Didn't happen. It did not happen. You're correct. Yeah.
I don't know. People might want him fired, but he's not gonna get fired. But it's that chance. And then do you get another one? Like Jim Caldwell is the biggest thing, in the NFL. Like, look what happened to the Lions. I mean, they fired him for Matt Patricia, and they went down the drain. So I think that's what it always going to be with African American coaches. And I think before we go into something else, I do want to say that mostly these days it's because it's black coaches don't get into like the QB coach thing, and they don't get into the offensive coordinator thing. There's not a lot of black offensive coordinators. And that's where a lot of these head coaches are going. People aren't hiring defensive coaches anymore.
They want play callers.
They want play callers and people like that. So like Brian Daboll is gonna he's gonna get a job for sure just because what he's done with the Bills. A lot of these guys are getting jobs are coordinators, right?
So it doesn't matter that you're Robert Saleh who stops the offenses like that, all the time. I mean, even if you have half your team. Like against Cliff Kingsbury, right? I mean, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah. They just hire the best coach and just trust them. I don't understand it. The red zone issues of the Raiders. A lot of people want to see a little Marcus Mariota in the red zone area, like Taysom Hill. Do you feel like that's something that could work, or you feel like that's something that you can just? I mean, Gruden's not doing it to piss off. He's not gonna do it because he will piss off Carr.
Yeah, I mean. I don't even know if it's about pissing off Carr. Like, I don't think he really should care about that. And I don't. As long as he's not taking Carr's job, I mean, I think Carr will understand that he's in the red zone and he's going to come in. I think Carr just wants to win at the end of the day. I don't think a lot of people try to speculate how he feels about things. But if Mariota comes in there and he runs a good zone read and he scores touchdowns, that's fine. And I think John should have done definitely against the Dolphins. I mean, because definitely you got a quarterback with a hurt groin, and he can't really move that much.
I don't know how we know that. Yeah, go ahead. You're right.
Yeah, you have to know that going into the game, and then my man BD pointed out that like the Dolphins are a man-to-man team too. So if they're manned up all the time in the red zone, and you got a guy who could run his own read, that's 11 on 11.
Yeah, I mean, it's
just matchups. Who cares about Eagles? We're trying to win. We're trying to win the playoffs. Like, Eagles don't matter at that point, like,
yeah.
And if Derek Carr, that bothers Derek Carr, then that bothers him. It shouldn't, because it's not like he's taking his job. I mean, you're still taking 30, you're doing the 40 snaps a game, or running the 60 plays.
Yeah, I mean, the Rivers and 2 Hall of Famers, Rivers and Breeze. It happens, Rivers and Breeze. I'm not sure why it couldn't happen here. Like, at the end of the day, just score touchdowns and whatever.
Exactly.
The Colts, I just saw a report that Rivers could retire on Sunday if they don't make the playoffs, which is going to be interesting. Is there I'm not one of these people who want to trade Carr at all. I mean, I'm not, but that is a place where they could be aggressive and say, hey, we'll give you a lot for Derek, considering that they have pretty much everything in place to win. Carr is the guy. Like all this speculation is just fan fodder. Yeah. But I mean, he has a lot of power in the organization, because this is he's going in the 4th year in this offense that's very difficult to learn. And they went from 19 to 27. I mean, they're progressing pretty well offensively, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think they're gonna even think about moving on from Carr this year, because I think Carr played better than most people want to give him credit for. So.
Oh yeah, I know.
Right. So he's played a lot better than a lot of people give it credit for, right? And I think, like, his outside of Raiders haters are saying that he played well. So I think that's the difference to this year.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, inside the Raiders fan base, there's always going to be people that don't like him because he's the quarterback and they lose. So that is just straight up. That's what it is, right? Yeah. But I think the outside view of him now is a lot different from this year, because, I'll tell you what, like the Jets game, a lot of people don't like how he played against the Jets game, but I think the Jets game, from an outside perspective and from his teammates' perspective, the way that he got his butt kicked that game, the way that he got hit, and the way he kept getting up and he kept throwing the ball. He was throwing the ball and throwing darts, getting punished. Like, I saw roughing they high-load him one time, and they didn't even call roughing the passer. He was getting killed. I don't even know how he made through that game, and then he was still faced that blitz and threw a Hail Mary touchdown at the end of the game. Like, that was, Greg Williams was basically calling them out the whole game, right? And he said, nah, bro, like, I'm better than you think. And I think that's the outside perspective of Derek is different. So I think John has to also realize, he's going to realize, think into himself. He's like, I got a quarterback that's just barely turning 30. Quarterbacks usually hit their prime in the 31, 32, 30, those years. That's when they actually hit their primes, right?
Salary is manageable.
And I came in, I got him more accurate. I got him playing his best football. Yeah. Like, why would I give up on that?
Yeah.
And the defense is the problem. Like, we put up points, right? We put up all the points in the world, and sure, turnovers. I understand that they had a lot of turnovers, red zone issues. This past game on 3rd down, but they're the best team in 3rd down all year. So this past game was like a fluke. That's not really the real thing. It's so that just from if I'm a coach and I come in and I got this young talented guy and I build around him and then I eventually get him playing his best football, like, why would I get rid of that? That's kind of my thought process with it. But you never know. And, because I'm crazy. I still think that he brought in Mariota just to mess with him. I still think that he just.
I think he did too. I think he did too. And somehow in Gruden's head, I think he thinks it worked. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't because, Aguilar and Waller and all that stuff. Like Ray Nation, I love Ray Nation, but like, they'll say, oh, look at Waller's numbers. It's like, Waller wasn't throwing to himself. Like, like, what I mean? Like, what I'm saying? He didn't get 20 catches in New York by himself. So I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's nuts. Listen, thank you for joining us here, Marcus, man. It's been fun always, man. I look forward to your breakdowns on YouTube and, hearing you guys do your podcast and everything like that. So good work.
Appreciate it, man.
Keep it up, man. Take care.
You see, man. Appreciate it.
Yep.